Hello everyone, Rurikhan here coming at you with another edition of Kast, the Gamescom special, and we're going to be continuing onwards from the last episode. So in the last episode, I told you guys about the events of Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, and today I'm going to be talking about Thursday and Friday at Gamescom. So Thursday, my very first interview for Thursday was Skylanders Swap Force at 10:30. So I went to the show floor, got there at a pretty reasonable time, and my plan was, since basically the show floor opens at 9, right? So since the show floor opens at 9, my plan was I'll just get in and start working on those booths that I had been spotting the day before. If you guys remember, I told you guys that on Wednesday morning, I was getting my bearings and spotting for some stuff that I wanted to go and talk to people about, getting some additional presentations to fill up my schedule a little bit more. So I went ahead and basically went through a whole bunch of booths to basically fill up my schedule is what I did until 10:30. I was pretty much going all over the place. So you guys will be listening to a couple of RPGs that maybe you weren't familiar with, because as you guys know, RPGs are my thing. It's like my favorite type of playstyle is usually RPG. So I wanted to go and see RPGs on my free times as much as possible. So you guys will be hearing in just a couple of minutes about the RPGs that I was able to schedule. But either way, at 10:30, I headed out to Activision to do the Skylanders Swap Force interview. Now, I actually didn't go at 10:30. I went at 10:15 because I like arriving early to interviews whenever possible, because you never know. Sometimes you might be able to get an earlier slot, which will kind of give you a little bit of breathing room throughout the rest of your day. So whenever you have free time and you think you might be able to get early access to a slot, but never too early. Like, don't ever go like an hour early or something, because usually a lot of the times it just will not, they just will not allow you to go first. You know, that they just will not trade your appointment is what I'm getting at. So, I mean, half an hour earlier, sure. Because even if things go sour, the worst that can happen is you just stay there for half an hour and you rest or whatever, because usually they'll take you to the behind closed doors areas, and there will be places where you can sit, like comfortable couches and stuff like that. You can then, if you want, you can eat, drink, usually for free. And although that's not really the thing for me, what I really wanted to do is just sit down every now and then. So I would just go to places, sit down, pull out my laptop, work on a couple of stuff. So that would be the way that I would do things. So I went a little bit early. But the point was also to make sure that I also had a presentation of Skylanders Swap Force, because I wasn't sure if all I had was the presentation or all I had was the interview. And they told me all you have is the interview, but a presentation just started, so you can go and sit in on that presentation. So she took me to the presentation that was ongoing, and I got to watch a little presentation on Skylanders Swap Force. And I know that you guys are like, man, who cares about Skylanders Swap Force? And it's like, well, it's simple. There's definitely a market for it. It's definitely out there, and it's my job to cover that particular game. It was my job at the time to do that, so that's why I did it. Because here's the thing: when I'm doing my job, I'm passionate about my job. I'm passionate about the stuff I do. I'm passionate about gaming, and be it Skylanders Swap Force, Call of Duty Ghosts, or Dark Souls, I'm passionate. Sure. Am I more passionate about Dark Souls? Of course. That's obvious, because that's just me. Does that mean that I'm not going to do a fair coverage of Skylanders Swap Force? No. That's being unprofessional. That is when you begin being unprofessional, when you start rating games like, no. I got to pay more attention to this game instead of this game. It's like, no, I'm sorry. It doesn't work like that. I basically gave the same amount of coverage to all the stuff that I have scheduled. I gave them the same respect that I gave anyone else in my schedule. That's the way it worked. Like, look, if I schedule something with you, to me, it doesn't matter to me if you're an indie developer or you're Activision. To me, It doesn't matter. If I schedule something with you, I will be there on time unless something really terrible happens, like if appointments bleed out all the friggin' time. That I can't help. But I will not go to an indie because someone all of a sudden invited me to go do some AAA stuff. No, I'm sorry. If I have booked the AAA thing, I will go watch the AAA thing. If I have booked an indie, I will go watch an indie. It's like everybody is on the same level with me. That's the way that I do. That's the way that I deal with my schedule. That's the way that I've dealt with everything. I basically gave everyone this courtesy. So I went there. I saw the Skylanders Swap Force presentation, and I asked a couple of questions about it because I was actually there was an interesting point that I was not aware because, once again, I don't really follow Skylanders. Of course, I did a lot of research for the interview that I was going to do, but I don't play Skylanders, so a lot of stuff eludes me. Like, for instance, I was not aware that the little miniatures, little miniature figures that you have, you call them Skylanders, whatever. I was not aware that they actually store information. Like, how the hell do you even do that? Like, because when you put them in the portal of power thing, whatever you call it, it actually saves the level of your character on the character itself. So, like, for instance, say you got 2 Xbox or 2 PlayStation, whatever. You got 2 of those. One is yours, one is mine. And I loan you my, let's say, Spyro character, because that's the only character whose name I know from that game. I loan you my Spyro character who's like a level 10, and your Spyro character is a level 5. So if you put your Spyro character on your portal of power, it's going to be level 5. If you put mine, it's going to be level 10. So the information is actually stored in the character itself. The stats of the creature and all that stuff is stored in the character itself. And I thought that was curious, so I asked about that. And the interesting bit here is that when I asked about it, the guy said, that's a really good question, because apparently that's something else that I've noticed. A lot of people, when they're at these presentations, they seem to be scared of asking questions. I don't understand this. Like, a lot of people, it's like they're watching a presentation when the guys ask, do you have any questions? Everybody's like, oh my God. It's like they're back at school. What the fuck is wrong with you people? Another thing. Like, you know how many people, like when you're in a presentation, you know how many people sit in the back? Like if you're at school and you're afraid that you're going to get scolded by your teacher? Are you kidding me? Whenever I got the presentation, I sat right in the front. Every time that there was a seat in the front, I would sit right in the front. Unless, and this is a very important part, unless I was getting ready to leave for another presentation, at which point I would sit in the chair closest to the door. Because when I say people sat in the back, I don't necessarily mean they were sitting close to the door. They were sitting like in a dark corner in the back, as if to avoid people noticing them, which doesn't make any sense. You're working. You're not at school anymore. I'm sorry. I'm sorry I have to break this up to you. Either way, yeah. So I asked that question. The guy gave me the answer, explained to me how the whole stuff works. And since nobody else asked questions, apparently, and the guy seemed to think that my question was pretty intelligent, I was like, okay. He said, make sure this man gets a goodie bag. And I was like, oh, no, not goodie bags. Because a lot of news reporters actually enjoy receiving gifts and all that stuff. And I'm not saying I don't. Sure, I would love receive gifts, all that stuff. But the thing is, you need to think like this. You're a journalist, and if you're carrying a camera, a tripod, a laptop, chargers for all those things, and whatever else you happen to be carrying on your backpack, you're already lugging quite a bit of weight around. You add a goodie bag in there, and then another possible goodie bag that another developer gives to you, and that weight will just keep on rising. And you're going to have to lug that shit around all day, because this was my first presentation. But apparently inside that goodie bag is a very rare Skylander, like the exclusive Gamescom 2013 edition. I'm like, oh, okay. And they told me,
and by they, I mean random other people that I met on the floor, not really Activision.
that this is supposed to be really valuable. I should go sell it out on eBay or whatever. And I'm like, what? Are you kidding me? I mean, I'm there as a well, not really a journalist. I can't call myself a journalist because I don't have a degree in journalism. But like, whatever. I'm there to perform coverage. I'm there to report on things that I have learned while I was there. And people are concerned about selling a fucking toy on eBay. I actually went and checked out of curiosity today. Apparently there's someone selling one of those things that I have for like 400 euros. I was like, what the? Where has professional journalism gone down to? Really? People selling toys for 400 euros, like souvenirs they give you at a Gamescom. You know what I actually would like to do? I would like to give it away to someone in the community that would actually enjoy it. The problem is, giving away a valuable item like this is a pain in the ass because you never know how many people are actually going to be real Skylanders fans. Because everybody's going to be a Skylanders fan when I try to give that shit away. Everybody's going to be a Skylanders fan. What? I can make like at least 300 euros off the internet? Sure, I'm a Skylanders fan. So I'm still not sure what I'm going to do with it. I'm definitely not going to sell it because I think that's disrespectful. At the very least, I would very much like to give it away to a member of the community that would probably enjoy it. But currently, I have no way of actually determining who that member would be. Either way, let's keep going. So after that, I watched Angry Birds Star Wars for consoles. It was a presentation that I had scheduled. I watched it. And again, I think that Angry Birds Star Wars edition, whatever, I feel that it's kind of a milking of two franchises. Like you're both milking the Angry Birds franchise as well as milking the Star Wars franchise. But the thing is, despite the fact that I always had that feeling in the back of my mind, I couldn't help but smile whenever I saw the bird that supposedly represents Luke Skywalker, and like they throw the bird and he gets to like do a lightsaber swing or something. It's funny. Okay, it's funny. I still feel like it's a lot of milking, but it's still funny, unfortunately. I don't know. I mean, I'm not a huge fan of Angry Birds, but I watched the presentation. I took a couple of notes on it. Most likely not really going to do a video about it. Oh, yeah. Obviously, after the presentation of Skylanders, I did an interview. It was actually with the person, I think it was the CEO of the studio inside Activision that actually created Skylanders. So it was actually really cool because the guy is actually incredibly passionate about the Skylanders franchise. So it was a good interview to make. I liked making that interview. And that interview is going to be coming up to the channel as well. After Angry Birds, I'm not exactly sure what I did because I have like a 1 hour. Oh, no, I know what I did. So after Angry Birds, which was actually delayed a little bit, there was a little bit of a scheduling mishap at Activision. After Angry Birds, I decided to go on to the show floor for a short while because I wanted to go visit El Gato. And why would I want to go visit El Gato? Because they have the capture card. So I wanted to go and network a little bit and see if they would hook me up with a review unit because, as you guys might be aware, I'm always looking to review capture cards. Unfortunately, it seems that nobody in the friggin' capture card industry wants anything at all to do with me. Like, I've tried contacting AverMedia. And as a matter of fact, AverMedia has promised me, I was promised an AverMedia Live Gamer Portable by like 3 different people at AverMedia. Not one of them has actually ever pulled through for me. And Hapaj, same thing. One guy at Hapaj at E3, if you guys remember, I told you guys that I talked with someone from Hapaj at E3. They said they were going to hook me up with a review unit. Nothing ever happened. As a matter of fact, right now, they don't even answer my emails. Same thing for AverMedia. They don't answer my emails either. I mean, I'll be straight up honest. And because here's the thing. I wish people would at least just be blunt about it instead of like tiptoeing around the issue. Look, just tell me no. Okay? It's not that hard. It's 2 fucking words, 2 fucking letters. Okay? N-O. No, just tell me no. It's fine. It's not the end of the world. I guarantee you I'm not going to cry about it. But say something. Be a professional. Don't be a douchebag that doesn't answer my emails. Either way, I went to the Elgato stand, and basically the guy that was there told me, oh yeah, we've already sent out a couple of units to a couple of YouTubers in the past when we were launching the product. And in not exactly these words, but he basically said, right now we don't really give a fuck about any of that anymore. This was basically what he said. He didn't say it like this, but this is what he meant. And then he got me a flyer and he said, oh, you should send us a message through Facebook. And I was like, oh, I'm sure you guys don't get a lot of those, do you? Whatever. So basically, Elgato doesn't want anything to do with me, just like Apogee doesn't want anything to do with me, just like AverMedia doesn't want anything to do with me. And I just don't know what to say. It's like, that's fine. You guys don't want anything to do with me. Whatever. It is a little bit frustrating because I see a lot of people constantly receiving capture cards and they're doing reviews about shit that, in all honesty, they have absolutely no fucking idea what they're talking about. I mean, you guys know how many reviews I've watched of the AverMedia Live Gamer HD, the AverMedia Live Gamer Portable, as well as the Hapage, where basically the only thing the person does in their review is play Call of Duty or play Battlefield 4. That is the one thing they do in their review. And it's like, I'm sorry, is that supposed to be a product review or a video game review? Because it's like, yeah, we got an idea of the quality. How about you talk about the features? I don't know. Just saying. Yeah. Either way, neither of those companies wants anything to do with me. So basically, if I want to review any of these products, I have to actually go out and buy it. Which obviously, as you guys know, I'm not that wealthy right now, especially if taking into consideration E3 and Gamescom. And I also want to go and buy a goddamn modded Vita because Sony won't come up with a solution for me to be able to record on the Vita. So there's just so much stuff to buy. And on top of that, you still have to buy food and survive and pay for electricity and whatever. Not to mention I haven't paid my internet in 2 months because I told them I'm canceling it. Fuck you guys. Anyways, let's get back on topic because I'm getting a little bit too ranty here. So I went to Elgato, didn't work out. Came back, went to the Pro Evolution Soccer interview. I had a Pro Evolution Soccer 2014 interview. I thought it was going to be a one-on-one interview, but unfortunately it was a group interview. And due to the positioning of the people in the room and the fact that the tripod for my camera is really small, I couldn't get a good angle on that interview. So most likely, this particular interview will never see the light of day. Which is unfortunate because I know that there's probably a lot of people out there that love PES 2014, but I only really got to ask one question, which is ridiculous because when I got to the stand, I got there early because I knew I didn't have my questions ready. But I had a bunch of questions in Portuguese that a member of Rubber Chicken sent me so that I could actually do my interview. So in 10 minutes, I translated 10 questions and adapted them and added a few of my own questions that I've kind of deducted from the questions that the other guy wrote. So basically, I made the perfect interview for Pro Evolution Soccer 2013 for a one-on-one interview. I had the perfect interview made. And I never got to do it because it was me and 2 other guys, and the only thing I got to ask was one thing. And it was very disappointing. It was very demoralizing. And the fact that I didn't even got a good camera angle on it, it just, whatever. I think this was like the worst thing that I did the whole exposition was the PES 2014 interview. And again, this isn't their fault. It's more of my fault. It's more my fault than anything because I just wasn't expecting it to be a group interview. And I wasn't expecting the positioning that they ended up sitting at the table. So, and again, if you really want to do camera interviews at an event like this, you should always consider having a 2-man crew. One for the camera, one for the questions. Because doing everything by yourself is ridiculously stressful. You guys have no idea. You definitely need like a dedicated cameraman if you really want to do professional work. Because if you don't have a dedicated cameraman, it doesn't matter how good you are because you're never going to be that good. Here's the thing: when you go into a booth to interview someone, their expectation is like, look, you got 10 minutes, you got 15 minutes tops. Okay, you got 15 minutes tops to interview this person. That means you have 15 minutes to set up your camera, test your audio, set up your angle, ask the person to sit down in a proper place, see if that place works, supposedly adjust the lighting, which I never did because I don't have time. Like the one thing I would do is check the audio, set up the camera as high as I possibly could because the tripod is small, and that's that. Like standing up interviews, I can't do those. My tripod's too fucking small. There's nothing I can do. So yeah, when you're doing these kinds of interviews, you don't have a lot of time to set up, is what I'm getting at. So perfection is very, very hard to achieve. So bear that in mind when you go and critique the interviews I did. I was alone. I was scared. My time was limited. My tripod was small. My camera is old, and a whole bunch of other things. Either way, after the PES 2014, I actually had one of the things that I had scheduled that morning, which was a presentation for an RPG called Blackguards by Daedalic Entertainment. Now, I'm not really going to go into a lot of detail on this particular RPG because I want to be making a video about it. I'm not sure if it's going to be first impressions because most likely they're going to be hooking me up with preview code. But I have to say a couple of things about this particular RPG. Okay, so first, it is a turn-based RPG. Okay, I know that I don't play a lot of those, but I still like them. I really do like turn-based RPGs. So just to kind of explain to you guys, I like them. So it's a turn-based RPG, right? And you have this story and all that stuff. I'm not going to really tell you guys about the story. I just want to tell you guys one thing. You have a companion that is, one, a dwarf. Puts a big smile on my face. Straight up, a dwarf. Two, an arsonist. So my smile just keeps growing and growing. And three, he's got anger management issues. So at this point, I'm the fucking Joker, like smiling all the way up, an ear-to-ear grin. And it's funny because when they introduced this character, there were two people there doing the presentation, which was one of the guys is the PR guy for Daedalic Entertainment. The other guy, I don't remember exactly what his title was. I have his card, but I know that he was doing some kind of lead work for the game. And he notices that I'm just like practically begging to start laughing my ass off at the concept of an arsonist dwarf with an anger management problem. And so he just starts laughing to kind of put me at ease. So kind of like saying, this isn't formal, you can laugh. It's okay. So I just cracked up. I was like, that's fucking genius. An arsonist dwarf with anger management problems. I'm sorry. It doesn't get any better than that. Okay. Either way, I'm not going to talk a whole lot about the game. I plan on either making a video of my opinions on the game before they give me the code, or just make a video with whatever code they give me to preview the game because it was just amazing. And this actually showed me two sides of things, which is, sure, I was never badly treated when I was at Activision or Ubisoft or any of the other big guys, but things were a little bit more formal. Like you wouldn't expect me to just laugh out loud during the Destiny presentation, for instance. As a matter of fact, people would probably just snap and break my neck if I was to laugh out loud during any of those presentations. Whereas the Daedalic guys, they were just having fun with it. They were like, look, there's this dwarf. He's an arsonist. He's a pyromaniac. There's this wizard who's a lover boy. He thinks he's got a girlfriend in every friggin' city in this world. And I'm like, that's hilarious. And I'm just laughing at those concepts, and the guys are just laughing along because they know it's funny. It's their intention that it's funny. But at the same time, it's also a serious RPG with a serious story. It's Miguel knows a lot about Daedalic Entertainment, and he told me that this is typical of the type of games that they do. I don't know a lot about Dailic Entertainment, but definitely Blackguards. Like, that was one of the highlights of the show for me. One of. There's more. So after this, had to go back to the Radisson Hotel to watch Puppeteer presentation, which, if you guys remember, I had also watched Puppeteer at E3. After Puppeteer, I was able to watch a presentation on the multiplayer of Killzone Shadowfall. Unfortunately, I didn't have enough time to actually get hands-on, because the reporters on that presentation were going to get hands-on. But the fact of the matter was, I needed to be back at Gamescom at 4 because I had something on my schedule that said Destiny. And this was like pre-booked before I even got to Germany. So like, I was like, well, I have to go and attend that one. So I just watched the presentation about the multiplayer aspects of Killzone Shadowfall, which, again, like I said, if I do make a video about Killzone, is going to be about both Mercenary and Shadowfall multiplayer, because those were the two things that I saw while I was there. Either way, I watched a short presentation, which gave me about a 40-minute gap or something. So as I'm going from the Radisson back to Gamescom, I receive a message from I'm not sure if he's the CEO. I think he's the CEO. From the CEO of Three Gates. If you guys don't remember who Three Gates is, they're the guys behind Legends of Aetherius. Because I asked them for an interview as well, if anyone was going to be there, and their CEO was going to be there. So he sends me a message, and he's like, so are we going to meet up tonight at 6? And I'm like, well, I'm free right now. And basically we met up at the show floor, and I did an interview about Legends of Aetherius, because I told you guys I wanted to do an interview on Legends of Aetherius as well. That is going to be coming on to the channel as well as soon as my upload speed permits it, and obviously as soon as I edit it as well, because right now I'm recording the post Gamescom thingamajiggy. So anyways, I did his interview. After that, I went to do a Destiny thing. And it turns out that the Destiny thing was actually a presentation which I had already watched the previous day. So obviously they didn't force me to watch it again, because that would just be dumb and it would be a waste of everyone's time. So they just marked me as having been there, because you do have to, I mean, even despite the fact that it's not school, you do have to basically prove that you've been to every single appointment that you've made. Otherwise, it might be harder for you to schedule appointments with the companies that you failed in the future. That's just the way it goes. And I completely understand, because here's the thing. If they're making time for you and they're scheduling you to do things, you're supposed to be there, because they have people there to show you things, because they saved time for you. It's a matter of respect. I fully understand on that regard. So either way, I went there, ended up not really doing anything, because there wasn't really anything to do, which really bummed me out a little bit, because I could have had a chance to play Killzone Shadowfall. But then again, if I had played Killzone Shadowfall, I would have probably had to push back the interview with Legends of Aetherius. But here's the thing. I didn't really schedule the Legends of Aetherius interview for that time. I just happened to be free at that time. So it would be fair for me to actually play a game, because isn't it amazing that, like, it's been Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and I hadn't had a single hands-on. Not a single one. All I had was presentations and interviews. Nothing else. But either way, I went on to my next presentation, which was actually at Warner. I was actually able to book this on Wednesday after I did the Sonic Lost Worlds interview. I just went to Time Warner, and they were actually pretty accommodating, because usually the big guys aren't very accommodating. Like, for instance, I tried going to Ubisoft on Wednesday. I went there twice to see if they could get me anything at all. Like, look, can I go see Assassin's Creed 4? Can I go see Watch Dogs? And by seeing, I just mean seeing a presentation. Can I go see a presentation of Watch Dogs, of Assassin's Creed 4? Mainly what I really wanted was the Division or the Crew. Can I see a presentation for any of this game? Nothing. They scheduled me nothing. Like, I gave them the entire week. I said, look, how about on Thursday? How about on Friday? Anytime at all. Anything that you guys can do for me. Zero. Because they were overbooked. Time Warner, on the other hand, I went there and I asked, so what games are you guys showing here? The guy tells me the name of all the games, and I'm like, okay, I would like to watch Mad Max and Batman Arkham Origins, because I haven't watched anything on Batman Arkham Origins either, so I might as well check it out just out of curiosity. So they've actually scheduled me for both Mad Max and Batman on Thursday, which was really cool of them, because they scheduled those two really close and everything, so that I wouldn't even have to leave the Warner booth. So they were really accommodating. I've heard a couple of people complain about Warner, the guys at Warner being a little bit annoying, but didn't really happen to me, especially if you take into consideration the following, which is they scheduled me Mad Max for 16:30 and Batman for 17:30. So I had a half an hour gap, and they actually allowed me to watch Batman half an hour sooner so that I wouldn't have that gap anymore. So they were amazingly accommodating. So either way, I watched Mad Max. Mad Max looks really cool. I might do a video on it. It actually depends. Why don't you guys tell me on the comments if you want a video on Mad Max or not. I might do a video on it. By do a video on it, I mean like my impressions, because obviously I don't have the game yet. Then I watched Batman Arkham Origins. It looked like a Batman game. That's what I can say. It had cool gadgets that I didn't really recognize, but I've only ever played Batman Arkham Asylum. They were showing off the fight against, I believe the villain was called Firefly? Was it Firefly? Not 100% sure. I might be confusing it with The Last of Us Fireflies. So I hope that I'm not. I think he was Firefly. And he was setting fire to this bridge. And they basically showed off a whole bunch of cool stuff like smoke bombs, a gadget that reels enemies in together and knocks them out, and a whole bunch of more stuff. And it looked cool. It got me definitely in the mood to go ahead and fire up Arkham City whenever I have 2 minutes to play it. But yeah, it was pretty cool. And I got to watch a presentation on that as well. After Batman, I had a presentation which I was actually able to book on Monday while I was at the airport, which is hilarious. Like I was at the Portugal airport, at Lisbon airport, and I was setting up meetings for presentations and stuff like that. And this was the presentation of WildStar, and you can definitely expect a video of my opinion on that. And let me just tell you, I liked it. I liked what I saw. It was really cool. After that, I had both a presentation and an interview on Firefall. And Firefall, obviously, it was really cool because I got to actually had a conversation with someone from the dev team. And basically, since I had been playing Firefall, I got to basically give him my direct input, which apparently he was really receptive. Either he was faking it, which didn't really seem like it, but he was really receptive to everything that I had to say about Firefall. He was very, very open to suggestions that I was making and all that stuff. And he also gave me 5 codes for red beans, but he also ordered me to use one for myself. And I was like, okay. So either way, I'm going to have 4 of those to give away. You can expect those. I'm going to give them away as I usually do, which is I'm going to put the interview up. And at the end of the interview, I'm going to tell you what you're going to have to tweet. You're going to have to obviously have a Twitter account. You're going to have to tweet at me and at Firefall, and I will think of something that you guys will have to tweet. And then I will pick the winner randomly. Winners, actually, because it's 4 codes. Oh, yeah. Have I said what the codes giveaway? The codes are basically 125 beans and a war paint. I'm not sure if it's an exclusive war paint or if it's just a war paint. I know that it's blue. It's a blue and silver war paint. I know that it's got some blue in there. I haven't really had a lot of time. I actually only got back today. I'm not sure if you guys can tell. I'm ridiculously tired and my voice is going away, but I just had to record this video. Either way, so Firefall was really great. And they also gave me like a plushie that you guys should be able to see it on the lower left corner. You can almost see it. It is a plushie of one of those elephant mammoth looking animals, which I was like, oh, you can't imagine how many times I've aggroed one of these on accident. But yeah, that was my Thursday. So it was really cool. A lot of the stuff that I saw on Thursday, I really enjoyed. Like, for instance, I know that it's going to sound a little bit, it's going to sound like Activision bought me, but I actually enjoyed watching Skylanders. It's obviously not the kind of game that I could see myself playing, but I could see the, how should I put this? I can see I'm missing that one word. Something that attracts you towards. I can see I can see what is attractive about the concept of having this toy that you have, that you put it on this portal and it comes into life into a video game. That's an attractive concept. It definitely is. It's also really, really expensive for the parents, but what can you do? And I also really liked Blackguards. Blackguards was friggin' amazing. And I mean, I know that I had already seen Puppeteer, but Puppeteer is a pretty amazing game as well. Mad Max is really cool. WildStar, really, really liked what I saw of WildStar. Firefall was also amazing. I really loved the interview for Firefall, as well as I loved learning of their plans for the future of Firefall, which I will discuss in a video as well. Either way, that was the end of Thursday. I don't think we did a whole lot Thursday night. No, Thursday night I basically just went back to the hotel, had some dinner, and got some much-needed rest. And then on Friday was the very last day. It was interesting because on the last day of E3, I went to watch Witcher 3. And on the last day of Gamescom, I went to watch Witcher 3 again. Our appointment was right at 9 o'clock, which is the exact time of the opening of the event. It's the exact time at which Gamescom starts for both the media and the general public, which was annoying because obviously we didn't get there in time. But then again, nobody got there in time. The presentation was unfortunately the same presentation that I saw at E3. I was hoping to see something different, but no, it was the exact same presentation. But then again, I don't really get tired of looking at Witcher 3 because the game just looks so goddamn amazing. After watching the presentation, I did an interview. And the reason why I did an interview for Witcher 3 is because last time I wasn't the one interviewing. So the questions that you guys heard on the last interview were obviously not mine. That was maker material. So this time I had some of my own questions that I wanted to ask. So I was able to perform my own style of interview for Witcher 3, which will obviously be going up on the channel soon. However, there isn't really any material for me to make another video about the features of Witcher 3 because pretty much everything that I've mentioned, everything that they've shown in the interview is stuff that I have mentioned in my previous Witcher 3 video, and everything that I didn't mention in the E3 preview video of Witcher 3 is mentioned in the interview that I will be uploading. So if you guys want some more Witcher 3 information, make sure to watch my next interview video that will be going up as soon as my upload allows it. Either way, right after The Witcher 3, I actually almost had to run because the Witcher 3 thing actually delayed itself a little bit, so I was almost late to my next appointment. Luckily, I still made it there in time. My next appointment was with Cyanide Studios, and I wanted to go and see Elex Legacy. Now, I know that a lot of you guys have already seen Force's videos on it, but obviously I wanted to establish a relationship with the studio as well, and I wanted them to tell me about the game and ask them about stuff that I wanted to know about the game myself. And Elex Legacy is definitely a very interesting game. And I believe that within the next couple of weeks, they told me that they would be sending me some preview code so that I could actually have a look at the game as well. And so you guys can expect my first impressions and my take on Elex Legacy as soon as they send that stuff over to me. I really, really liked what I saw, though. I will not lie. And the reason is, you guys know that I'm a big fan of doing builds. And that game supports builds in a major way because here's the thing. You got 4 characters that you can use at once. and you can have a combined total of 8 characters. You can only use 4 of them at once, so you'll have to play with their strengths and weaknesses, and then you are also able to level them up. Each of them has a unique skill tree, and you can reset at any time. If that doesn't say experimentation to you, I don't know what will. And that is amazing because you can basically experiment with anything at any time. It's like, oh, I want to change this healer to be a more offensive class. Boop, boop, change these skills around. Done. Good. Okay, now I want to bring this guy in. Boop, change character. Done. So it's like really fast and really easy to actually, just customize your whole party and get a lot of different builds and experiments and get all kinds of different stuff going. Now, I'm just curious to see how well the game engine will accept that because, as you guys know, from time to time I am known to exaggerate things. And I can come up with a couple of min-max things that blow people's minds. So let's hope that nothing is broken, shall we? Anyways, the next stuff that I had scheduled was actually for Activision. So I actually went there early because Arclash was only a half an hour presentation. So I was able to get a half an hour early to Blizzard because I was saying Activision, but like Activision and Blizzard, despite the fact they're the same company, they were they were inside the same space, so to speak, but you would have to enter different doors if you were going to Activision or Blizzard, which I found amusing. But either way, I went to the Blizzard thing because my schedule was kind of a bit of a clusterfuck of stuff that was like on top of each other, and I was like, this makes no sense. So I went over there with half an hour to try and figure things out. Also, I was under the impression, because I had 3 things scheduled for Blizzard. One of them said Diablo 3 console. The other one said WoW new patch content. And the other one said Blizzard conference follow-up. And I thought these were all presentations, right? So I go over to the girl in charge who was taking care of everybody's schedule and all that stuff. And she's like, okay, so the Diablo 3 console thing is hands-on. So I'm like, okay, don't have to worry about that. And then your WoW new patch content is an interview about World of Warcraft patch 5.4. When she said that, I could hear like explosions in the back of my brain. Like, I have nothing prepared for this. And then it's like, okay. And then she said, and the Blizzard conference follow-up is an interview about Diablo 3, the expansion, the Reaper of Souls. And then I heard another explosion, now on this side. I was like, oh. I didn't tell this, I didn't tell her this, but my brain instantly thought, so let me get this straight. You got 2 interviews with an extremely high-profile company, Blizzard, for which you're prepared for neither. Okay, good luck. So what I ended up doing is, since I was half an hour early anyways, I went to the seating area, and there were a couple of comfortable couches there. Sit on the couch, and I'm like, okay, relax. You got this. Pull up my phone, mmochampion.com. I don't know how many years it has been since I opened that website. So I go to mmochampion.com, and I start looking up the most recent patch of World of Warcraft, what's it about, all that stuff. And basically from that, I was able to pull a couple of questions. And then, let's face it, I was a hardcore World of Warcraft player. Coming up with questions about World of Warcraft is not necessarily a big challenge for me. However, on the Diablo 3 expansion thing, I had the problem, which was I hadn't been at the Blizzard press conference, and all the information was still pretty fresh. So I didn't really knew all the details. Well, I had been at the press conference. I hadn't stayed through the entire duration of the press conference. So I didn't have a lot of details about what I could really ask about. Like, I knew the stuff that I could ask from the stuff that I saw at the conference, but I'm like, I'm sure there's more to it though. And there's stuff that I haven't seen. So while I'm looking up questions for World of Warcraft, I shoot Miguel, who was at the Blizzard press conference thing, who had been there and who had assisted to the entirety of the thing. And I tell him, send me all of your notes. And those were in Portuguese, which you guys will be, yeah, but you understand Portuguese. Yes, but tell me something. You can understand Japanese. Can you translate on the fly like that? I don't think so. Like if you have to do a question to someone, if you have to do an interview, which already means that you're probably going to be a little bit nervous and you still have to translate stuff on the fly, I don't think that you're going to be that good at it. So he sent me his notes, but I didn't have enough time to actually convert those notes into questions. So I get pulled away into the Diablo 3 console thing. Let me just tell you, as I have said previously, and a lot of other people said previously, yes, the console is the better experience of Diablo 3. That being said, there is definitely reason for PC players to be somewhat optimistic because of the changes that they're actually bringing to Diablo 3 through the form of Reaper of Souls. You guys can expect a full detailed video on that. I will be making a full detailed video on both Diablo 3 for the consoles as well as the Reaper of Souls. Okay? Just to kind of give you guys the whole spiel about what I think about Diablo currently. But like I said, I really enjoyed playing Diablo on the console. I felt it was really solid apart for the dodging mechanic. Dodging mechanic feels like they haven't really finalized it yet because I asked him about it and he said, no, our intention is that you will be able to do limitless dodging. And I'm like, well, I can just exploit that. I don't know what to say about that because like you can actually dodge in the console by using the right stick, kind of like God of War. And it's infinite. You just like dodge, 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 dodge. And I think that in Diablo, that might actually break the game a little bit. But then again, I only had like 5 minutes to play with it, so whatever. Either way, once I was done playing Diablo 3 and I pointed out a couple of things that I will be talking about with you guys on the Diablo 3 video, I went to do the World of Warcraft interview. Now, I don't really remember the names of the two guys I interviewed. This ended up being a one-on-one interview. It was supposed to be a group interview. And I was really nervous because here's the thing. Being an old hardcore World of Warcraft player, when I saw the two people that were in the room, like I said, I think the name of one of them is Tom Shilton. I'm like almost 100% sure his name is Tom Shilton. The other one, not so sure. But either way, when I saw the two people that were in the room and instantly recognized them, I was like, these guys are big shots, so I better not fuck up. So that's me already getting nervous. But I had my questions. The interview went superbly. It was amazing. It's amazing to see that those two guys are still incredibly passionate about World of Warcraft. You guys will see when I upload that interview. So yeah, after that, we went to the Blizzard conference follow-up, which was the Diablo 3 expansion thing, and I had no time to prepare any questions. But that was a group interview, which pretty much gave me all the time that I needed to look up all the notes that Miguel took in the conference and conjure up a question of my own whenever it was my turn to ask a question. So it was like people were asking questions, and it's my turn. And I'm like, okay, so tell me about blah, 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 blah. And they would start answering my question. When they were done, they would hand off to someone else, and I would instantly pull up my my iPhone again and start looking at something else that I could ask them, and it was perfect. It was just perfect. So you can expect also the Diablo 3 expansion interview to come up on the channel, as well as, like I said, a Diablo 3 video about Diablo 3 console and all that jazz. After the Blizzard side of things, I went to do the Eve Valkyrie presentation, which if you guys don't know, Eve Valkyrie is something that is being developed by CCP Studios, the guys responsible for EVE Online and Dust 514. And Eve Valkyrie is basically a game where you fly a ship and you basically do, currently the only thing you can really do is team deathmatch, but it's with the Oculus Rift. And that was the main reason why I wanted to see it. I wanted to see the Oculus Rift in action. So I went there, saw the Oculus Rift in action, and all I can tell you is that the Oculus Rift is amazing. It's not the cancer curing technology that everybody hails it to be, because a lot of people do tend to over exaggerate and overhype the device, but it is an incredible and very impressive piece of tech. And I will have a full video with all the things that I've experienced while I was playing both Eve Valkyrie as well as a demonstration that I had of the Oculus Rift. After that, I was able to see the Monicon by Calypso, which is a third-person action RPG. Like I told you guys, I really wanted to see RPGs, so that's kind of the stuff that I scheduled. It looked pretty decent. I'm not exactly sure it's going to be everyone's cup of tea. I will be making a video about it probably when they send me the code for this game, which they said that they would, so we should be okay on that. After that, I went to watch Bound by Flame, which was being published by Focus Interactive, but is actually being made, I believe that the studio is called either Spidey or Spider Studios. And they were the same guys who made Mars Warlogs. And that game is also looking pretty cool, but it's not, how should I put this? I mean, it's not a Dragon Age, okay? It's kind of like in the same vein as Mars Warlogs. It is a title that is set on a certain budget, but it is still a very interesting looking RPG that I definitely want to go ahead and check out. So yeah, that was the extent of the stuff I saw. After this, I went and I was actually able to get a tour of the Oculus Rift. And once again, I wasn't expecting it, but it was also an interview. I was supposed to do an interview with the Oculus Rift guys. Now you guys can imagine how I was when I find out, oh, I'm supposed to interview the Oculus Rift guys. Okay. Luckily, the funniest thing happened while I was at the door of Oculus Rift waiting for them to open the door and let me in. An indie dev came to me. I'm sorry, I can't remember your name right now. Like I said, I'm terrible with names. An indie dev came to me because he also wanted to check out the Oculus Rift. But he presented himself and he said, so are you press? Are you covering stuff here? And I'm like, yeah, I'm covering stuff. I have a YouTube channel. I'm also working with Rubber Chicken Games from Portugal. And yeah, and he tells me that he is developing a game and he wants to check out the Oculus Rift because a lot of his users, he's doing a Kickstarter campaign, and a lot of his users told him that he should include Oculus Rift in his game. So he had come to see if he could have basically a look-see at the Oculus Rift. So when the Oculus Rift guys actually came out, they asked me if I minded that they show, they give like a crash course, like a really fast crash course of the Oculus Rift to this indie dev before me, and then they would take care of my presentation. I'm like, no, it's fine. And then it is also when they informed me that then we could do the interview. And I was like, I'm supposed to do an interview. I have no questions. So as they're giving the crash course, I pull up my iPhone yet again. I'm like typing down questions. Just like typing down questions, thinking about stuff that I could ask about the Oculus Rift. And then they showed me the Oculus Rift and I did the interview, and those guys were really cool. I was hoping that due to the fact that like I wasn't able to schedule to see the Rift while I was at E3, I wasn't able to schedule to see the Rift while I was at Gamescom. I was expecting them to be somewhat arrogant, but no, they were like totally cool. They were just these really laid back guys. Totally cool. They were really just nice and stuff, and there are absolutely no problems. And I think that interview is pretty cool. So you can expect both an interview with the two guys behind Oculus Rift, as well as my whole impressions of the Oculus Rift experience. After this, basically the only thing I really did was I visited the show floor because it was Friday. It was the last day that I was going to be at Gamescom. So I decided to visit the show floor. The problem was that my feet were just killing me at this point because of all the walking around I had done. Like, I actually have blisters on my feet. I'm not sure if it's blisters that they're called. Whatever. It's like when you get little bubbles on your feet. That's what I have. I have tons of those all over my feet. And it's just, yeah, because I walked around quite a bit and I never stopped. Like I told you guys, I barely ever had like half an hour, 15 minutes to rest. And when I did, I was usually working on questions for interviews and stuff like that. So it's been just this mad roller coaster ride until now, where I finally had the time to make a video and tell you guys about it. Either way, while I was at the show floor, there was one thing that I wanted to do. So like I told you guys, I went twice to Ubisoft to try and get a presentation of anything, basically. And while they didn't give me a presentation of anything, they gave me a fast pass to go play any of their games in their booth. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to go ahead and I really want to play The Division, right? So I go there and I ask the girl, like, so is this, I go to the Division line and I ask, so is this actual gameplay? Do you actually get hands-on with The Division? She's like, oh, no, there's a developer playing and you get to like talk with them. And I was like, oh, okay. Don't really feel like doing that, especially because my feet hurt and I just, whatever. So I'm like, I'm really bummed out because it was one of the games that I wanted to play. The other game I wanted to play was Titanfall. EA got Miguel a fast pass. They didn't get me one, so I didn't get to play Titanfall either. So I was just a little bit bummed out. And so what I did, and this was actually Miguel's idea because he told me that he was going to do something like this. So I'm at the Ubisoft, at the center of the Ubisoft in the entertainment area. So I look around, and I'm looking for the biggest line of all on all the Ubisoft games. And I notice it's Assassin's Creed 4. Assassin's Creed 4 has got the biggest line of all the other games in Ubisoft. So I go to the line of Assassin's Creed 4, and I go to the very last person in the line. It's this girl. She's like sitting on the floor, and since it's like, I don't know, it's like 6:30 or something like that. That is the current time that we're at. The fair closes at 8. So like 6:30, she's sitting down on this massive line. This is going to be the last thing that she's going to be able to see, right? So I come up to her and I say, hey, come here. Here you go. I hand her the fast pass. And this is basically what this pass does is you can just skip lines because you have the fast pass. And she's like, woo, fast pass. She was like insane. Her face was just like, she was like this desperate thing at the end of a line, right? Just like, oh, not even sure if she was going to be able to play that one game that she was waiting for. All of a sudden it's like, I hand her this fast pass and the gleam in her eyes just like explodes. She's like, oh. I thought that was really cool. And I never saw her again because basically she just disappeared into the middle of all the lines. I think that pass actually enabled you to play all of Ubisoft's games. I'm not sure. So basically she probably got to play every single game in the Ubisoft booth. So yeah, that was fun because to be honest, I couldn't really even stand. Like I would not be able to play a video game standing up because of how bad my feet were hurting. I went around the show floor for a bit more. I picked up a Warframe bandana because Xtrinity asked me for it. So I picked him up a Warframe bandana. And I met Sheldon Carter. If you guys remember, I interviewed Sheldon Carter at E3. He's from the Warframe dev team. I met him, and he recognized me. The only person on show floor that recognized me, Sheldon Carter from Warframe. Warframe gains my undying love for that one, Sheldon. Top notch. Either way, what happened after that? What did I do? I'm sorry. It's just like everything starts blurring together, which is why I wanted to do this video as fast as possible. After I got the Warframe bandana, I just circled around through the floor a little bit longer, but I didn't actually do anything else because my feet were just killing me, and I ended up just getting back to the hotel. And then Saturday morning, I catch the plane home, which was not a very good experience because there was a ton of turbulence. And as you guys know, I friggin' hate turbulence because I was in a plane that got struck by lightning once and it scared shit out of me. That's just the way these things go. Now, I really can't remember anything else that happened, and I still was able to make like 2 hours of video. I was hoping I was able to wrap this up in 1 hour. Didn't really work out. It turns out it didn't really work out. Either way, I hope these videos are useful or entertaining to you guys in some way. This is what happened to me while I was in Germany. Had a lot of fun. Despite the fact that my feet have massive blisters, I regret absolutely nothing. And if anything, I just wish I was able to see more, which I wasn't, because Friday afternoon, like, people were just like disassembling stuff anyways. Like, the business halls, I don't think they probably even opened on Saturday. It was just like over. So that's Gamescom for you guys. Hope you guys enjoyed the video as per usual. Thank you very much for watching. Leave me your comments, feedback, and all that kinds of good stuff in the comment section below. My voice is completely gone for now, and I will see you guys in the next one.